What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to iStuff Gaming, and today I'm going to be bringing you the all-inclusive set guide. Now, before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you'd like to keep up with any future videos, I'll be leaving the link to my Twitch in the Discord in the description below. Now, the reason why I wanted to do a guide on set is that this character is hard. This is not an easy character to play, especially for the casual player. But he is probably one of the best solo laners, if not the best solo laner in the game right now, in my opinion. And this character can steamroll really well, especially if you know how to deal with even bad matchups. The character can be very, very daunting. But he can also be really weird to build. I'm going to be giving you a solo guide, and I'm going to be giving you how to build him for the jungle as well. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into his best builds. Alright, so first things first, to understand this character, you need to know this character is a hybrid. A hybrid basically means it's a mix between his basic attack and how hard his abilities hit. So you're going to want to build items that can complement both. So, first off, personally, I like building this character more for the solo lane, so I'm going to be building him more tanky or bruiser-like, but I'll go ahead and show you an example of what a good jungle build will look like. So first things first, you want something like the Crusher or even like a Brawler's Beatstick. You don't really need the cooldowns, unless you don't like how high his cooldowns are, but they can be managed pretty well. But usually you want to go for something like the Crusher. Atlantis Bow is really good on him. Throwing on an Aussie is good on him for the extra lifesteal. But also throwing on something like Heartseeker or Hydra's Lament is also really good on him. You can also run Erendite, because the first person you hit with your basic attack while you're ulting will get the proc for Erendite. So that's also a really nice item to have. Or even an item like Priedman, so you don't instantly die, because he is still CC susceptible while he is in his ult. Other good cards, Serrated Edge is still pretty good on him because of how his abilities work. You're going to be using his abilities pretty often. But also Stone Cutting is really nice on him. Now, Hasten Katana is a toss-up. You don't really need Hasty Katana on this character, and I'll explain why later and when I explain how his abilities work. But if you want to stick to the person you're fighting a lot more closely, Hasty Katana can help, but I wouldn't immediately recommend building. Now, for a solo lane perspective, Berserker Shield is really strong on him, right? If you don't know what it does, whenever you drop below 40% HP, your physical power increases by 20 and increases your attack speed by 20%. So this is a really good card on him. Throwing on an Onsile on him is really good because you're going to be diving the back lines a lot. But also putting on a Caduceus Shield works really well because of how its ultimate works, which again we'll go over in a minute. In the jungle, if you're looking for a tank item, Sledge is always a really strong item to go on the junglers. Also, if you don't feel like building like a Berserkers, you can also go Void Shield. However, I personally like Berserker Shield more, but Void Shield is still good. It's still really strong. Also, you're going to want like a Spirit Robe or a Mantle of Discord. More than likely, you're going to go Mantle of Discord because this character is very susceptible to CC. So either getting a Mantle of Discord, a Magai's Cloak, or even both in a solo lane setting is pretty smart. And then finally, if you want some more damage, you can still either go Heartseeker if you're using your abilities more, or you can go Sides or Aussie if you're using your basic attacks more. But that's generally how you want to build this character. Next, we're going to go over how his abilities work and how to actually. So before we go over his passive and first ability, we're going to be talking about his second ability, the Spawn of Set. Now I'm just going to go ahead and read this out because it's a lot to think about. So Set conjures a spawn of himself made of sand. These spawns stand where summoned and attack. These spawn will stand where summoned and attack nearby enemies. That can have up to 2 charges of this ability, allowing him to conjure spawn in quick succession. That can interact with the spawn and with his other abilities, commanding them to attack or teleport to them. That can only have 8 spawns at any given time. Now, you really only had 2 charges. The other 6 are going to be coming for your ultimate, which we'll be talking about in a minute. But this ability is what's going to help you with your first and third ability. So before we get into those, let's go ahead and talk about his passive, Relentless. Basically, whenever he attacks you and hits you with the basic attack, he gets a stack of, basically like Rage or Relentless. Whenever he does that, it increases his attack speed by 2.5%, stacking up to 10 times for a maximum of 6 seconds. So let me go ahead and show you. So in the bottom left, you can see the little gauge and how some of them black. If you start basic attacking, you can see that my attack speed is also going up while I'm attacking. Right? So, in essence, it's actually a really strong passive for an attack speed stim. It can help you get a lot of burst out, and it goes in well in conjunction with attack speed items like Berserkers or Aussie. Now, his first ability we're gonna be talking about is his main go-to for damage as well for clear. So basically, he just throws this little line. Well, I can't really say little, but it's a huge, and it goes extremely far, right? But he throws this line out, which slows by 25%. Now, Set's spawn are commanded when Set fires his attack, dashing towards a location Set determines. Enemies hit by a spawn's dash take damage and are slowed for 3 seconds. Any dash after the first will deal 40% damage. So essentially, you can hit them with a maximum of 8 or 9, really, skewers, if you include the ultimate, since he can have up to 8 spawns at any given time. So this is a really, really hard-hitting ability, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the slows stack with each other. But if they do, that's absolutely insane. So this is the reason why you actually don't need Hate's Katana, because he has such a massive slow behind him, while also having this attack speed. So you can get a lot of burst damage out. Another reason why you don't need Hate's Katana is for his third ability, Sandstorm. Set conjures a sandstorm around him, protecting him from physical damage and causing him to be immune to slows. Set enemies near Set are damaged every 0.4 seconds for 6 seconds and have their vision obscured by the sands. If Set is targeting a spawn when this ability is cast, he will immediately teleport to the spawn. Otherwise, he can reactivate this ability to teleport. That can only teleport once per sandstorm. So, essentially, you have a command blink on an assassin, while you're also being immune to slows. And it also reduces physical damage by 15%, which is why he's such a good solo laner, because he has this damage reduction on top of all this damage and survivability. Let me go ahead and show you what this looks like. So, essentially, if you pop it, you get this little sandstorm here, right? And then if you aim it again at a clone, you will teleport immediately to it. And it's on a pretty relatively low cooldown, with only, what I believe I have 20% CDR. Yes, 20% CDR. It's on a 10-second cooldown, which is really strong. And playing around that is going to be instrumental in how you use this character. So the last thing we're going to be talking about is his ultimate. Now, there's a lot to talk about with his ultimate. So, Set enrages, channeling his rage towards his enemies, gaining increased movement speed. Each time Set's attacks damage a god, they gain a mark of Set. At 4 marks, the target erupts. Enemies take a burst of damage on each explosion, while Set becomes empowered, restoring health and immediately gaining a charge a spawn of Set. Excessive charges are immediately consumed, causing a spawn to appear near Set. So, essentially, this has burst on it. This has a lot of healing on it. This has a lot. You can spawn all the rest of your clones. You can deal an absurd amount of damage. So it'll be easier if I just show you. So essentially, see? And as you can see, you can just keep going. And the spawns will stay here for a little bit afterwards, but they will start to dissipate pretty fast. But you still get the benefit of all those skewers. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it makes him really hard to kill, because with this Relentless passive, and the physical damage reduction with the healing, you're gonna need anti-heal to deal with this character. And he can get a lot of burst damage with the erupted damage. And each erupt damage does 65 damage. Each and every one. And then he'll spawn one of these little clones whenever it goes over. So, it's a lot to think about, but essentially, pop this ult, you get a lot of damage, you get a lot of healing, you get a lot of these clones, and you get a lot of damage. It can be really daunting to deal with, especially if he builds like a bruiser. So now that we talked about how his abilities work, we're going to be talking about his game plan. So, I want to go over his game plan before we talk about how to level his abilities, because his game plan is probably more important, because I'm pretty sure you already know. Level the 1 first, level the 3, put points into your ultimate as you can, and then level your 2 as you go. Right? Because this will give you more damage. However, you can level the 2 more if you want to, so you get more range on the 1, and this can do a little bit more damage. So, it's completely up to you. I like leveling up to 3 because of the tick damage. But if you like leveling up, if you want to play more around your 1, you can level up to 2. That's essentially all it is. Now, with Set, the way I like to think about this character is that he's a fighting game player. He's a fighting game character. He wants to outplay his opponents, which is why he doesn't really have a lot of bad matchups, because knowing how to play around your abilities is essential to how this character works. But if you're looking for more of a combo route, what you're going to be doing, you're going to be dropping a clone where you want it, throwing your 1, and then whenever you want to engage, just start basic attacking at them, throwing your skewers, and then when they teleport away from you, or they leap away from you or try to run away from you, you can catch them with your 3. That's basically all it is. If you're in the solo lane setting and you want to start boxing a little more, what you can do, you can drop a clone and then pop your 3. But don't use a teleport like I did there. Don't use a teleport like I did there. What you want to do is to save it for a quick getaway. So you could fight in the wave with this ability active, and then throw your 1, and then when they try to get aggressive, then you can teleport to the clone. Right? Now keep in mind, when you throw your 1, your clone will actually follow the direction that you're sending it, in a way. So if he's so if you send it farther out and you aim it, they'll actually start dashing back towards you. If you send it closer to you, they'll go forward, and it literally it'll follow the angle at which your light ability isn't being. So, getting used to this can take a lot of time, but essentially you always want to hit double the skewer proc. Also, another thing you want to do is that when you have your ultimate and you want to go for a kill, pop your ultimate as soon as possible. Don't wait until you're about half health or low health. You want to use it as soon as possible to get as much damage out as you possibly can. Right? And also get as much healing benefit as you can. Even if they have anti-heal, they still have to deal with you having a full bar of health. So pop your ultimate ASAP, especially if you're in the jungle, if you're not building like a brute. So the last thing I want to talk about this character is that you don't have to be overly aggressive with this character. Yes, if you're the jungler, that's kind of your job and you want to get, but feeling out a situation, poking when you can, and then going in for the kill when you absolutely know for certain that you can get it is paramount to how this character works. You can find it, like, I saw something on Facebook at one time saying that you can either, like, when you're playing Set, you have to go 17-0 or 0-17 with this character. And you go 0-17 with this character if you're not good at placing your abilities and knowing when to go in. That's just going to come with experience. How to build this character is more important, because if you have a good build, then you could probably get away with not knowing too much of how this character works. But when you start getting to that more competitive high level of play, knowing when to go in with this character and placing your spawns in the right spot is essential. Now, that's all I have for the guide on Set. If you have any questions or concerns, don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below. If you'd like to keep up with any future content, I'll be leaving a link to my Twitch in the description below as well. If you would like to join my brand new Discord, I'm trying to get that built. DM me on Twitch and I'll get to you as soon as I can. Without further ado, I'll catch y'all later.